An unusual object has just appeared in the solar system, surrounded by a mysterious halo of scattered sunlight, but what has puzzled researchers is the source of that light. This 11 kilometers wide object quietly entered our system, and its behavior was unlike any other known celestial body. Initially, the crude images did not attract much attention, but then it suddenly accelerated without any reasonable scientific explanation, shooting narrow beams of light straight at the sun and reflecting light in a way that suggested it might have been intentionally designed. Harvard's Avi program warns that we cannot rule out the possibility that this object is unnatural because that hypothesis alone has consequences that could change humanity. What's more worrying is that humanity currently doesn't possess any spacecraft capable of reaching it. And what if this isn't a lifeless rock, but some kind of mysterious probe sent from somewhere else? Stay tuned, because what happens next will blow your mind if you are fascinated by the mystery of 3I Atlas. And want to see more amazing cosmic stories, hit that like button and let the universe know you are watching. Every click helps keep the quest for the unknown alive comet below. And let me know where you are watching this video from. I want to see what corners of the world are witnessing this along with me. 3I Atlas, discovered by the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in July 2023, immediately attracted the attention of the American scientific community. The object is more than 11 kilometers in diameter, 10 times larger than the two previously confirmed interstellar objects, Oumuamua and Borisov. But its enormous size was only the prelude to a series of unusual signs that stunned researchers in the US and around the world. From the very first analysis, 3I Atlas's motion defied the familiar laws of astrophysics. Instead of moving purely under the influence of gravity, the object exhibited a small but inexplicable acceleration. This was exactly the kind of behavior that had sparked controversy in the case of Oumuamua, when Harvard professor Avi Loeb proposed a bold hypothesis involving light sails, a form of artificial propulsion technology, now with 3I Atlas. That same puzzling acceleration pattern has recurred, and this time the data collected is much denser, raising an inescapable question. Could this be more than a natural object? The way 3I Atlas reflects sunlight adds to the strangeness of the story. Normally, natural comets brighten in a familiar curve as they approach the sun, but this object's brightness flickers irregularly, increasing and decreasing without any pattern, suggesting the existence of organized surface structures. Some analysis of the images shows sharp edges of reflection in contrast to the typical chaos of natural comets, and has led American scientists to wonder if this is a sign of design. 3I Atlas's chemical composition deepens the mystery. Instead of releasing water vapor as it heats up, it ejects unusually large amounts of carbon dioxide with a carbon dioxide to water ratio that ranks among the most extreme ever recorded. While carbon-rich comets do appear from time to time, 3I Atlas is so far beyond the established norms in the astronomical database that U.S. laboratories are now considering the possibility of an entirely different source or emission mechanism. The object's tail also refuses to conform to classic cometary models. Instead of spreading out with the sublimation of ice, 3I Atlas's tail forms narrow jets that shoot out in fixed directions. One of the most discussed images shows a precisely lined streak pointing toward the sun, suggesting controlled outgassing or even a pressure-directed internal structure. Standard cometary models fail to adequately describe this phenomenon. And many experts admit that the jets appear too targeted to be simply explained by nature. Polarization analysis revealed another chilling fact. 3. Atlas has a narrow negative polarization branch, a signature typically associated with dense or finely structured materials rather than ice and dust. While this does not prove artificial origin, it does further distance the object from any familiar description of a natural comet. Some American researchers have openly admitted that 3 Atlas's reflection profile is more characteristic of engineered material than a primordial iceberg. Its trajectory feels equally unusual. Instead of zipping through the solar system on a random path, 3 Atlas is entering the inner region on an unusual path, intersecting the orbits of Earth and Venus. It doesn't pose a collision threat, but the alignment is so neat that some models suggest the path looks more like a corridor, fine-tuned before entering the solar system, less a random visit from a rogue object, and more like a calculated path as astronomers across the United States pointed their instruments at 3 Atlas. The object repeatedly crossed key observation slots, forcing many observatories to reprocess data to keep up with its movements, led by Avi Loeb. Project Galileo made 3 Atlas a top priority target in an effort to collect extensive data to delineate the line between a natural oddity and a structure of unnatural origin. No one dares to claim it is a spacecraft, but no one in the American scientific community can offer a reassuring explanation. And it is this gap between the natural and the more extraordinary that makes 3 Atlas the most suspicious interstellar object humanity has ever encountered. Several researchers have attempted to propose hypotheses to explain 3 Atlas's unusual behavior. One suggests that it may be a remnant of a larger interstellar body that broke apart millions of years ago, which would explain some of the anomalies on its surface. A second hypothesis suggests that 3 Atlas may be made almost entirely of frozen carbon dioxide, with almost no water ice, a scenario that would partly explain the extreme gas emissions. However, when weighed against the full observational data, these hypotheses quickly prove unconvincing. They do not explain the unusual acceleration, do not explain the sharp reflection pattern on the surface, and do not at all address the question of the strangely oriented jets. A recent statistical analysis by research teams in the U.S. makes the picture even more worrying. New data suggests that the number of interstellar objects passing through the solar system may be much higher than initially estimated. If that is correct, 3 Atlas is not an exception, but maybe just one of a growing number of unusual objects that have been increasing in recent years. This puts the scientific community in a difficult position because if this trend continues, we may be facing a reality that has not been previously considered. This situation makes 2 questions more pressing than ever. First, what makes 3 Atlas so profoundly different from any other natural object ever observed? Second, why is there still no strong evidence to suggest it is artificial, yet the list of natural explanations keeps shrinking? Each new observation makes the object look more like something purposefully designed, a signal sent out to be noticed, than a cold rock drifting aimlessly through space. No one dares to say out loud what many researchers are secretly thinking, but the silence of data is sometimes the loudest signal. 3 Atlas's orbit poses no direct risk of collision with Earth. But what worries space agencies is not its destination, but the unpredictability of its motion. The object has exhibited accelerations that don't fit any conventional gravitational model, and without an obvious outgassing to explain it, standard orbital models become unreliable without science being able to accurately simulate the object's motion. Any prediction of its future path, whether it's passing or re-entering, becomes uncertain. It's this factor that makes 3I Atlas particularly noteworthy. A large, fast-moving object accelerating without a solid explanation. It's something that should be on the radar of any space agency or defense system. Small errors in calculations at cosmic scales can lead to huge errors over millions of miles, and this level of uncertainty requires global tracking networks to constantly correct, update, and even dispute each other's data. The challenge lies not only in physics, but also in coordination. When predictions from different space agencies do not match, an unexplained acceleration recorded in one country can be interpreted by another as a deliberate orbit change. These gaps in common understanding increase tensions and increase the risk of overreaction, especially if communications are disrupted or data is received incorrectly during the observation phase. History has shown how uncertainty can lead to chaos. The 1908 Tunguska event flattened more than 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest and confounded scientists for decades due to lack of data. But today's world is not the same as it was in 1908. We are instantly connected and information travels in a flash. A poorly understood phenomenon can be interpreted in many ways, causing global panic, misinformation, or leading to poor decisions about how to respond. The real risk lies not just in the object itself, but in how people respond to gaps in knowledge. 3I Atlas thus represents a kind of double risk: the intersection of an unknown physical phenomenon and a volatile socio-political context. The likelihood of a disaster may be low, but the consequences of misunderstanding, delay, or misjudgment are devastating. Risk management in this context requires taking low probability, high impact events seriously, because they are the ones that have the potential to rewrite human history in ways no one wants. Humanity currently has no spacecraft capable of reaching 3I Atlas. There are no probes in development, no rapid response missions, no means of observing it up close or collecting samples before it leaves the solar system. Our only option is to track it from Earth at a distance as it glides through the inner reaches of the planetary system. 3I Atlas was discovered in July 2023, but by the time scientists realized its strange nature, much of the crucial data from the approach phase had been missed. Astronomy teams had to rush to look through old photo archives, finding faint streaks that no one had noticed at first. Everything seemed normal until it was too late. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory played a key role in the discovery, but by the time the discovery was announced, the timeline was locked. No space mission could launch fast enough to catch up with an object accelerating away from us. Ground-based observatories continue to measure 3I Atlas's tail and record its motion, while space telescopes return spectroscopic data to analyze its chemical composition, but all from a huge distance, and even our most powerful instruments can only see, not touch, or affect the object in any way. The problem isn't just the limits of technology, it's the limits of the system's architecture. NASA, ESA, and similar agencies have planetary protection teams, but their focus is narrow. They track asteroids and assess the risk of impact. They're not set up to investigate anomalies, nor are they tasked with preparing for first contact scenarios. No major organization in the world has the authority, budget, or procedures to handle objects like 3I Atlas. Things that don't fit into any familiar category other than space junk. Even if 3I Atlas does show technological behavior, the question remains, who will make that announcement? And through what channels will the public be informed? There is currently no global protocol for communicating about anomalous space objects. When Oumuamua showed unusual acceleration in 2017, the public was met with mixed headlines and disjointed scientific debate. No single agency was responsible for a unified message. And that has not changed. Avi Loeb's Galileo project is one of the few research groups focused directly on the possibility of extraterrestrial technology, but it has no government backing, limited funding, and absolutely no ability to launch any probes. 3I Atlas reveals a lack not of knowledge, but of preparation. It will fly through the solar system and then leave, possibly never to return. If it is just a strange comet, it will do no harm except to pique scientific curiosity. But if it is something that is built or sent, this moment will be a failure of epic proportions. Not because we failed to detect it, but because we were completely unable to reach it. 3I Atlas represents a real shift in how humanity views the universe. It shows that interstellar visitors can be bigger, faster, and weirder than anything our observing systems are designed to handle. This object forces scientists to confront an uncomfortable truth. There are things we are not ready to explain, not ready to approach, and certainly not ready to respond to if the unexpected happens. Whether 3I Atlas is natural or not, the danger lies in how it disrupts the models we rely on. It moves without apparent escape, accelerates in ways that seem completely counterintuitive, and reflects light in ways that seem incongruous. When an object behaves in a way we don't understand, any predictions about its future behavior or about similar objects that might appear in the future become meaningless, and this is no longer a one-off story. More interstellar visitors are being discovered than ever before. New estimates suggest that more objects fly through the solar system every year, most too small to track, many passing undetected. And for large objects like 3I Atlas, the disturbing truth is that we can't stop them. We can't get close to them. We can't study them up close. And if a dangerous object does come close, humanity has absolutely no way to stop it. This is why 3I Atlas is important. Not because it threatens Earth, but because it shows that Earth is not prepared. The chance that it is artificial may be small, but if even 1% of its behavior suggests technology, the entire conversation changes. It means something made it, it means someone sent it, and it means we are not alone. These kinds of discoveries don't start with absolute proof. They start with anomalies, unnatural patterns, quiet visitors who don't follow the rules, and even voices in the scientific mainstream are starting to take it seriously. Avi Loeb has sounded the alarm, and major platforms like Joe Rogan's podcast have brought the topic to millions. What was once considered speculation has now entered the realm of real science. Peer-reviewed papers, funded projects, coordinated telescopes, dedicated observing time. Which means that when it happens again, we won't be caught off guard. 3I Atlas will soon leave the solar system and may never return. But something else is sure to come, and probably sooner than we think. And that's where scientists, the space intelligence community, and U.S. national security agencies are particularly concerned. 3I Atlas's trajectory after leaving the solar system appears to take it into interstellar space. where we can no longer track it accurately. Some models predict that it will continue to move through interstellar gas streams with a slight acceleration, a motion that's hard to explain, but strangely consistent with objects with highly reflective surfaces. Others suggest that the object may change direction abruptly as it leaves the sun's gravitational influence, a scenario analysts describe as not ruled out. Amid the increasingly fierce competition in space between the United States, China, Russia, and other emerging powers, the mysterious object's unpredictable orbit has inadvertently become the focus of a series of increasingly heated theories. Some security analysts say that if 3I Atlas does indeed exhibit advanced technological characteristics, rival nations could see it as an opportunity or a threat, depending on how they interpret it. Is it just a random alien or a signal sent by accident or intentionally to the nearest civilization it encounters? Even in closed-door meetings, some U.S. experts worry that if a similar object appears in the next few years, but in a closer orbit, countries could interpret its behavior to serve their own strategic goals. China could claim to have discovered it first. Russia could accuse the U.S. of hiding information, and the U.S. would have to weigh the balance between transparency and national security. In a world where space is the most fiercely contested battlefield, an unusual interstellar object has the potential to inflame geopolitical tensions. Observers have also proposed another conspiracy theory, one that is scientifically sound but unprovable. If 3I Atlas was indeed created by another civilization, then objects like it could act as probes sent out in cycles of thousands of years, scanning different star systems for data. If this theory is correct, the arrival of 3I Atlas may not be a single event, but just part of a long series of unrecorded encounters. And if such a device has visited Earth in the past, would we have missed it as we missed 3I Atlas's first approach? It's all just a theory, but in an age where what were once considered crazy theories are now the subject of debate on American science and security committees, the only thing that's certain is that gaps in our understanding are becoming gaps in our strategy. And as 3I Atlas disappears into the darkness of deep space, the biggest question remains, where will our next visit come from? And will humanity be better prepared this time? Thanks for watching. See you in the next part. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new data. We bring